Okay, the other day I made a video where I broke down all the best episodes of Voyager season by season to kind of get an idea of which season itself was actually the best season of Voyager and where the highs and lows are. And I had the thought later that maybe if I did that with all the Star Treks, I could do that as a way to scientifically determine what my actual favorite Star Trek is without me just saying whatever feels right at the time. I'll actually have some concrete evidence. And that way I could also objectively determine what season of Star Trek, of all the shows, is the ultimate perfect season of Star Trek. Going largely not just by total episode count, but by the number of good episodes to the total amount of episodes in that season ratio kind of thing. That way, the original series doesn't have too much of an unfair advantage just based on the fact that the first two seasons of that have 30 some odd episodes each, whereas most of the other Star Treks are in the mid-20s. So anyway, let's get going here. This video, I'm going to be doing Deep Space Nine. Now, season 1, I gave it 6 out of 19 episodes. Couple particular highlights: Captive Pursuit, which is one of my favorite episodes of the first season. I also included If Wishes Were Horses. I know a lot of people think that one's kind of silly, but every once in a while, Star Trek does need its little bit of zaniness. I think something that is missing in Star Trek Discovery that is present in all the other Star Treks is that it's supposed to be accessible for adults, but also for little children. When you're a little kid, you can completely get into and enjoy Star Trek. But Discovery does not seem to have that kind of cross appeal. It seems to be almost entirely just geared for an adult audience, especially with the whole use of the F-bomb. But anyway, season 2 picks up dramatically better. I gave it 13 out of 26 episodes, including both parts of the Maquis, the Jem'Hadar, Tribunal, The Wire, Rules of Acquisition. I notice in a lot of these, I tend to favor the Quark episodes real heavily. I will say that I tend to leave off in this list, and I'll be leaving the list in the description box below. I tend to leave off a lot of season finales and season openings because I'm looking at this overall project as determining the best of Star Trek as a whole. I noticed that the more serialized, high concept type Star Treks may be a little hindered by the fact that they have episodes that are very dependent on the overarching plot for that series as opposed to just random adventures. And whereas I'm looking for that, ideally Star Trek should be each episode is just a little random thing you can plop anyone down in front of who's never seen it before and they can enjoy it without having to know a shit ton of background. And so whereas the knee-jerk reaction and reflex to say that Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek, well, in the long term it might not. It does do a lot better than Voyager so far on paper, but not by as heavy of a margin as you might think. And there'll be a link for the Voyager version of this little project down below since I already made that video. Let's see, Season 3, getting even better, 15 out of 26 episodes. Search Part 1 and 2, Visionary, Explorers, that's a good one, Defiant, and maybe my personal favorite off this one, Civil Defense. That's a real close for being my favorite overall episode of Deep Space Nine, and is just slightly edged out by In the Pale Moonlight, which is in a later season. Season 4. Season 4 and Season 5 both have 16 episodes that I tagged. By a narrow margin, I'm going to award Season 4 as being the best season of Deep Space Nine, and that's because it has 25 episodes in total, whereas Season 5 has 26. So 16 out of 25 or 16 out of 26 by these standards. Season 4 is the best overall episode of Deep Space Nine. And it's got episodes like, let's just go for the full list, everything I tagged for this one. The Visitor, Hippocratic Oath, Indiscretion, Starship Down, Little Green Men, The Sword of Kahless, Our Man Bashir, Homefront, Paradise Lost, Return to Grace, The Bar Association, Rules of Engagement, Hard Time, For the Cause, To the Death, and Body Parts. And, well, I guess I already kind of spilled the beans on what Season 5 is, since that's 16 out of 26. It's got a lot of solid ones, like Apocalypse Rising, the two-parter in Purgatory's Shadow and By Inferno's Light, Dr. Bashir, I presume, which is a really great way of working Robert Picardo in, Ferengi Love Songs, Children of Time, another one of my favorite time travel episodes of Star Trek overall, and The Cards, another one of those kind of lighthearted episodes, which this series definitely needed. It was a lot more hard edge, so it kind of needed those, a little bit of like just Jake and Rom having an adventure. Season 6, a little bit of a downturn, 13 out of 26. And Season 7, not as bad as the first season, but so much of it was so intrinsically tied to the great big final arc of the war. Like, almost the last 10 episodes, I was like really hard pressed to want to say, like, does that episode itself actually have something? And I'm not just going to include the entire lump. That'd be like Discovery winning, because you have to include all the season as just one big thing, because it's all one big continued storyline. I'm not even sure how I want to tackle Discovery yet. So that's it. Season 4 is your best season of Deep Space Nine, scientifically formulated for my accurate, stunning opinions. Stay tuned. I'm not sure which one I'll look at next. Maybe if people leave comments asking, we can determine. Anyway, though, like I said, the description box below is going to have the full list and a link to the Voyager episode list so you can compare. And, yeah, talk to you later.